Welcome back to ExPats. After taking a non-traditional 2-week absence due to some technical difficulties, we are back. We're talking Patriots football. We're talking coordinators. We're talking about free agency. We're talking about Shrine Bowl. We're talking about Senior Bowl. We're talking about everything except playing in meaningful playoff games because we don't do that anymore. Welcome back,
I
Lucas.
missed you guys, man.
I miss the interactions from
amping.
our fans.
Yeah, exactly, man. TikTok and making clips and all that stuff. It's been running through my dreams.
Rumor has it my Vrabel edit took TikTok down. It was too powerful, dude. The algorithm couldn't handle it.
Donald had to bring it back just to put it on.
Donald had to take it away 4 years ago because he knew that the Vrabel edit was going up, just so he could come back and clout snipe and bring it back, being like, all right, guys, I know the Vrabel edit was too strong, but listen, we're back. We mean business. TikTok's arrived. So, yeah,
Let's do this.
shout out to Mike Vrabel.
The expats are back, baby.
We are back. We have an archived episode from last week, some would say. Lost in the
I
files.
don't even know if it's archived yet.
Sign up to our Patreon, and you get to watch a recovered episode of me talking to myself for 2 hours. So
Not wrong. Not wrong.
which I don't even think my parents would want to listen to just a one-sided me arguing with myself while your audio for some reason wasn't saved, and we're hoping to save this time.
Riverside.
Riverside, what are you gonna do? There's definitely some glitches in the podcast software, so
In the
I don't know.
podcast Matrix.
Lucas has been doing a lot of producing, so I blame him. I'm just the
Facts.
talent. Yeah, no. I mean, there's a lot of places we can start. It's tough to know how much we still have left in the tank because you and I spent like an hour last week in the archived pod episode talking about the coordinator hires, specifically Terrell Williams, because I think everybody kind of has heard about Josh McDaniels ad nauseum to this point. So that's definitely a place we can start. If we want to do a little like playoff recap, if we want to talk about, much to your pleasure, the bouncing of the Buffalo Bills in predictable fashion,
No.
pretty much. They get bounced like to Kansas City.
Annually.
It's like clockwork, dude. It's like it used to be the Arrowhead Invitational. It's like the Buffalo Bills funeral. It's like every year we know exactly when and where the Buffalo Super Bowl is going to be. We can hand out flyers. We can just reserve the space, like rent it out for next season. We know what's going to happen. It's literally like when LeBron would play the Raptors in the playoffs every year. It was Mahomes is LeBron, and he's just absolutely DeMar DeRozan is Josh Allen, and he's just burying him year after year after year after year. He's going to break. Josh Allen's going to move to San Antonio. And it's just cry every night.
And then Drake May is going to get traded to Buffalo and win a Super Bowl for the Bills.
Bro, why would you ever speak that into existence? That's the most egregious thing I've ever heard in my life.
Could you imagine that? That'd be so funny.
Mini Josh Allen, a Pro Bowler. Gonzo didn't get a call up to the Pro Bowl, but Drake May did. So we got that in the bag. Our 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions king himself, Drake May, is a Pro Bowl alternate, which, look, I know a lot of people are complaining about it, bitching about it. I get it. There have been years where Snoop Huntley was a reserve called up to the Pro Bowl. So I'll take the Drake May, call up over a Mac Jones or Snoop Huntley, pity call up. Although granted, the Mac Jones rookie season was statistically he played the full year better than Drake May's, just from a touchdown standpoint.
And I know we love the kid, but I don't know if you saw the skills thing last night. He did not. He did not look great.
Oh, did he not? I saw him hitting those numbered things. He only missed like the 5, right? I don't know. I just saw on Drake May
People
Lover.
edited it. Yeah,
Okay.
people edited it.
I just saw Drake May Lover's Instagram post. He was like, "F it, Drake May Pro Bowl highlights," and it was literally just him doing that. So I mean,
Yeah, people edited it, and it looked. I watched the full thing, and I was like, "Damn, Drake."
did it even look like he was trying? To be honest.
I mean, no, and like, who
Yeah.
cares? Like,
Yeah.
but like, it was just like, I was like, "Dang, all right." I mean, I
This
guess
is
he
like-
still has a little bit to go on the accuracy front.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this was literally like this is like the Senior Bowl for us Patriots fans. We get to see what Drake May is really like against the best competition. How good is he at dodgeball? Like the Pro Bowl is such a joke now, dude. Like if I was him, I would just get a nice buzz going and just coast through pretty much every drill. Have fun.
Yeah.
Like
Well, the best part was Jonnu Smith screwed Drake May over. Like they did like a trivia part like right before to set up the quarterback thing. It was wild. It was crazy.
Right.
And Jonnu Smith got the last question wrong, and so it like knocked 10 seconds off Drake May's like time to throw. And
oh really?
I was sitting there. I was like listening to it in the car, and I was like, "Man, John Smith!" Like,
Dude, he's the Grim Reaper for Patriots fans everywhere. Johnny Smith just has to keep rubbing dirt in the wound, if you will,
my
maybe
fantasy
salt.
tight end.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he rode him to victory. He was excellent this year, in fantasy at
Number
least.
four
Like,
tight
yeah,
end somehow.
yeah, dude, I just can't. I can't watch the Pro Bowl. What a joke! If we're gonna take away one thing from the Pro Bowl, it's that Drake May has an opportunity to go to like these high society functions and maybe wine and dine some of the disgruntled non-playoff Pro Bowlers that probably got an early trip to Cancun on a bad team, what have you, and maybe he's doing a little schmoozing. I don't know if Drake May has that stature yet in the league to be able to do it, but I think people just love the dude. He's a good guy, so I'm hoping he can form some relationships, particularly with some offensive players at the Pro Bowl. That's the only positive thing I could possibly take away from any sort of Pro Bowl experience. Just the fact that Gonzo's not in it is a joke. The fact that Travis Kelce was the highest vote getter is a joke. The Pro Bowl is a joke. It's not even real
Pro Bowl.
football. I mean, there's no more Sean Taylor. Like we're like the days of the Pro Bowl being a remotely entertaining watch are gone.
I would love to defend it, but there's really not much I can say about that. Did that pick up on there?
Yeah, yeah. It kind of sounded a little blurry, but we got you. I heard you.
All right.
Uh, yeah. So I mean,
I
do you
was
want
just
to
looking to see if there are any disgruntled receivers, like maybe Jerry
probably?
Jeudy,
Yeah, but
but
honestly, he just had the best season of his career. The thing is, who's throwing him the football? But is he going to want to like leave the Stefanski system that's finally cracked the code on him?
no.
Don't get me
I
wrong, though. That would honestly, in terms of if they were open to selling him, the problem is like, is he's not even a restricted free agent, right? He's just under contract.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yeah. I think they redid it in Denver, and then they traded him the
Yeah,
following year. Yeah.
he would honestly like you. You and I have been having this, I think, debate for weeks now about what it is the Patriots need to add to the offensive side of the ball. I mean, I think we both agree that the first priority is getting some tackles and probably a left guard in here. Uh, but again, like we need to also adjust what is the worst receiving room in the NFL, and that's one thing where you've kind of made the point that if we bolster up the offensive line, we can go another season or two with mediocre output from our receivers, which I kind of agree with. I just think you need to have some addition this year that's better than what you have, which is not that hard to do. Like I'm not asking for T Higgins and Jamar Chase. Like that's like let's be realistic here. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Jerry Jeudy would honestly kind of, I think, add an element to our offense that we don't have right now, particularly
Yeah.
vertical speed. I think coming out, he was a pretty good route runner. I'm not entirely
Speed
sure.
all over,
Yeah,
dude. If we're
dude,
being
he's
honest, like,
he's he's cool, and he really fell off once he made it to the NFL. But it was
yeah,
encouraging to see him be a Pro Bowler this year, and he was close to leading the NFL in yards, wasn't he? Receiving yards. He was up there in top five at least,
he
right?
was up there. I mean, they were
Uh,
feeding him the ball, and
They were
like,
feeding. I mean, it's also a Jameis Winston. Like receivers that have incentives in their contract, all of them should seek to have Jameis Winston be their quarterback because he'll throw a lot of turnovers, but man, is he going to get you some yards because he's just airing it out all over the place. So
pray the Lord delivers me from pick sixes.
yeah.
One of the greatest quotes of all time.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, no,
Eating W's.
well, here's one thing that I kind of wanted to go back on, and it's something that we've been saying for weeks that we just don't think is going to happen. And like
Yeah,
recently, like the longer and longer it goes, but I think T Higgins could actually hit free agency. I don't know if the Patriots will be the one to sign him, but for the longest
yeah.
time, you and I were saying that we thought they were like every
Because
day that goes by. I'm slightly more convinced that he's going to be actually hit the market, and if he
they
does,
haven't.
like
Yeah, he
that's
hasn't
where you
resigned
throw 30 mil. Yeah,
for sure. I agree. Look, let's be honest. You and I have absolutely zero journalistic connections in New England, so we're going to be regurgitating a lot of stuff, just trying to make it palatable and understanding and add a different perspective to things, I guess. But we're kind of at the mercy of the media, and especially in a market like Boston, where everything can be exaggerated and amplified and made into some sort of twisted narrative for clicks. I mean, the most famous people in Boston sports media are going to be the guys that like to ruffle some feathers, Mr. Felger
heck yeah.
himself. But we've been hearing like, oh yeah, no, it looks like T Higgins' new management team is connected with Jamar's or something like that, and the three of them came together at some sort of Bengals summit and decided that they were going to play
Sit down.
together. Yeah, and we're hearing all this and we're like, damn, like it is kind of in his best interest to stay with Joe Burrow, if we're being honest. Maybe not financially, depending on what the historically stingy ownership of the Bengals is willing to throw out. But then, as it progresses, and we haven't really heard any news on like the contract negotiation front, and we haven't really seen much in the way of reinforcing that narrative. People are getting a little antsy, and they're like, well, maybe we can get T Higgins, and then you have guys like Phil Perry and Tom Curran talking the other day, like, well, they don't even think that the Bengals could afford to obviously extend Jamar Chase and like re-sign T Higgins like that while paying Joe Burrow ridiculous sums of money. So it's
Enough to buy a
interesting.
freaking Batmobile.
This is I was kind of ranting to you before the game or before the podcast rather, and I I'm just really sick of being a bad football team, and I have full humility and understanding that we are both 24 years old. We started with the dynasty, and we've watched the dynasty fall over the course of our entire lives. We really had it lucky. Like we dealt
Didn't
with a
even get
certain level
Bill,
of
if you
success.
really
Yeah,
think about it.
so I'm not complaining about not winning playoff games to win the Super Bowl. It's just the lack of competition in the organizational malpractice the last couple of years, and I think more importantly, I miss not giving a crap about the Shrine Bowl. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I get it. I know that you love watching this, and there's a part of me that when we're talking about maybe our second and third round picks, like I'm intrigued as well. But like when Bill was in his prime as a GM, and when we had Brady and we had all these assets, it did not matter. Right now, we did not care about who was going to be the assistant defensive line coach come late January. We were talking about where we'd be watching Super Bowl, where we'd have our parties. Like that was we took it for granted. Obviously, we talk about how much we took it for granted, but I am sick. Like I'm fed up with offseason talk, and we're not even technically in the NFL offseason. The NFL season hasn't technically ended yet. It has for the Patriots and 30 other teams in the NFL. But we like this is so frustrating that we started talking about free agents and the draft during the bye week and even earlier because we knew where we were going to stand as like a top 5 draft pick team. I already have fatigue from this, and it's not even February. So I am, oh God, like just the speculation, the constant wondering, just the BS, the freaking BS of just the Shrine Bowl, draft measurements, all this crap. It never mattered to us until now, and I appreciate it, and I understand how fans of bad teams have kind of used this as a point of emphasis for the like entirety of our lifetime at least. But it feels like we're the Jets, dude. Like I'm caring
Oh,
about
come on.
I and look, I get it. I know we're not historically. Like it's hard to say that. I would take obviously RKK over Woody Johnson and pretty much
He wasn't
every
even
other layer we
married,
got. Like
maybe.
imagine if we had the talent the Jets did with our new coaching staff. I think there's some there'd be some excitement in that. But it's just it feels like I'm enjoying the wrong parts about football. I want to enjoy the actual play of football. Like that's what brings us all together. That's why we love this freaking sport, dude. It's the strategy, it's the physicality, the violence. All these things that make football special are not the things that we Patriots fans have used as major talking points this season, last season, the year before because we've been a bad football team. And that it's starting to weigh on me, dude. It's starting to weigh on me that I just want the draft to be done with now. I want the combine to be done with.
You don't want
I
that.
want to know what I want free agency. I just want to know what our team is going into next season. And like I've been looking forward to the offseason for so long. Like and that started in the middle of the season and now I'm like, what am I even doing? Like what I'm caring
Yeah.
about the wrong things about football, dude. Football used to be so pure for me and now it's become like such a critical business endeavor. And man, it's cool to have a different aspect of the game to kind of fall in love with, which we've done. But man, oh man, dude, I miss playing football games in January. I miss cold games at Gillette Stadium, dude. I miss bundling up, wearing like Under Armour under Under Armour, rocking big thick socks, having toe warmers, hand warmers, sitting in there either in late December or early January, just playing in meaningful playoff games.
Heck
And
yeah, man.
they can never take that away from me in my childhood. But damn, dude, this hurts. It just, man, I knew it. I knew it was gonna come, and I'm still just missing Tom, dude. I miss Tom so much. I miss
No,
Tom.
that's what I was gonna say. I think
Yeah,
the biggest thing about like being able to look back on prime Belichick and like obviously don't get me wrong, Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time. Brady though
The
was
greatest
the
coach of all
engine. Like I mean,
time.
offensively you could build around. They used his contract like a mortgage. People always say that stuff
Yeah.
and like
We
over the
refinanced Tom
years.
Brady like 15 times so we could afford a
Exactly,
new
man.
car.
And like he's aw- like I he's the man. But what I'll
Okay.
say going back and like not to like make fun of you or like any of that stuff for not to make you feel bad for having those feelings, but like I mean you remember I was huge on Mac Jones last season going in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
whenever
don't
it was,
know.
whenever like I think the Germany game was probably the last time I remember being like, all right, that's I watched him short arm that pass to Hunter Henry, and I've been in the same mode every single day since. It's been Drake May season since that day.
Yeah.
And so the past two
You
seasons have
never had
just
a
been
little bit
off
of, well,
season.
Jaden Daniels might be available. Like, come on now.
Nope.
That was diabolical, dude.
No, there was no part of me. I thought Drake May was the Drake Jaden. When I started watching and being a Drake May guy, Drake May was the number two pick. Jaden
Well,
Daniels hadn't even shot up the board yet.
well, he was the number two pick heading into the 2023 college football season, like locked and loaded.
Ah,
And Jaden Daniels had statistically one of the greatest college football seasons of all time. And
and it's clearly working for him. Like, I mean, I'm
he's
not going to take
he's
anything away
he's
from him.
exceptional, and I think as a leader, honestly, it's cool to see those guys that play like 4 or 5 years, that
Yeah,
transfer, that deal with some of that adversity, like he did at Arizona State, which was kind of a dumpster fire of a program for a while. I don't remember when Herm Edwards got fired there, but I knew there was just a lot of BS surrounding the organization or around that team, that program, and then
hmm
like the way his teammates kind of kicked him in the butt on his way out the door, like it just it's he dude, he is cold. Like he is cold, and
cold.
that's what we need to see from Drake May more than anything in terms of his raw talent and tools. It's like, can he just be a killer in the moments when it matters? And I don't even know if Jaden Daniels' heart rate ever kind of changes. It's pretty steady.
No, I mean they won. Obviously, they won a ton of games in like the last play, or like the last 10 seconds of games this year, and like that's it's huge. I mean, I think long term Drake May still has more potential and upside. So like I would be hesitant to really be like
Yeah, of course. I'm
nervous
happy.
about it or anything.
We
But
got
like
the right guy for us, I think. Kind of like with
heck yeah.
Vrabel. I think Vrabel's the right guy for the New England Patriots, even if Ben Johnson might be a great head coach, which he very well could be.
No, yeah. So I mean, like kind of just going back to what I was like saying, like we've been bad. We've been way worse than we were for like 22. We were really bad, and we just beat up on a lot of backup quarter. 21, we beat up on a ton of backup quarterbacks. 22, 23, like we were bad, and this like the past 2 years have just felt like they were like a long time coming, frankly. Like
Yeah,
since
for sure.
and so like for me, it's like we've been rebuilding for 3 years already in my mind. So like I'm like
It's more than that, dude.
oh, it's been a long time. But like I officially started it when it like you draft Drake, Mac Jones. Like that's I was not on board when they did it. All my friends were like worried about me because I was genuinely like I think Micah Parsons was still on the board at that point. And
Yeah.
I don't think I even really cared about the draft at that point. But like I remember drafting Mac Jones and be like, and I'm somebody who came around and I started to appreciate him. I thought that you can dial up things, and that's right when I started playing a bunch of Madden, and I'm out there like
Yeah.
calling the plays myself, and I'm like, Mac Jones can do this, and we can have success.
You and I had an
Uh,
inverse sort of trajectory where I was kind of hyped on draft day because I thought that he could have been a natural successor to Brady, not in
yeah,
terms of performance, obviously, but just in terms of how he could fit a Belichick team. And then, I mean, I started giving up on him pretty soon. But going into that 23 season, you and I were on different wavelengths. Where I was being a major Mac Jones hater, and you were like, "Give the guy another chance. He's got to have a chance. Like all he
he's
needs is a
gotta have a
chance." And I'm like,
chance.
I don't know what you're watching with Mac Jones that shows there's any sort of
Yeah,
requisite arm talent, IQ, who's sped up. And I get it. Like people can still debate to this day whether or not mentally he was so messed up under Bill and. Especially with that whole, I think, Patricia Joe Judge disaster class of a season in
yeah.
what was that 22? That
hmm
it's still, I don't know.
That's the biggest thing for me. Like, I mean, not only are you switching from like a great offensive coordinator and a proven guy with McDaniels, it's not even like you're getting another offense. You're getting a special teams coordinator, two failed head coaches that don't coach offense. Like, you were setting the kid up for failure. Not
Yeah.
to get on my Mac Jones soapbox. I don't think it
Well,
would have
yeah, of
worked out
course.
regardless. But like,
It's like we can
I
talk about it the same way we can talk about Mayo, right? Where we're like,
exactly.
acknowledge that he was set up to fail. Now, I'll always love Mayo more than I'll ever love Mac Jones because I grew up watching him be dominant, and those two
Heck
aren't
yeah.
even comparable to me. One is a Patriots, going to be a Patriots Hall of Famer. But we can
And the
acknowledge
other one is
the
named Gerard Mayo.
yeah, okay. Nice. We can acknowledge the deficiencies from an organizational standpoint and the lack of resources and help that those guys got, but we can also say time to move on. And I think we acknowledged it with Mayo a lot quicker than we did with Mac, and to our benefit because now we have Doug Marrone, Terrell Williams, Josh McDaniels, Thomas Brown, uh, Scott Booker. If we want to give any sort of credence to that, we are retaining Ben McAdoo in some capacity. I'm not sure if it's been official yet. We're kind of once they get every single assistant coach headlined, we'll get all of their positions to be exact. Like Doug Marrone isn't officially our offensive line coach yet, but I think everyone kind of knows that's where he's going to be, and that's probably where he's
Yeah.
best. We still got to get a receivers coach in there, and obviously the Welkers of the world have been thrown out, but I think we had to bite the bullet on Gerard Mayo, and I hate to see it go the way it did, and I wonder if there's any like truth to the reports about him potentially seeking legal action. I don't know what grounds he's gonna have. I mean, it's just bad. Like it was a bad situation, a bad contract, a bad agreement, a bad understanding of where he would be in his coaching journey in relation to where the Patriots would be in their need for a head coach. And I think just I don't know, the late stage Belichick era kind of forced us into a bad spot. But if we can get away with this being like our last like truly bad year of watchable football, like I don't like the last 2 years it was different. It was like last year, like watching it was the worst offensive football I've ever watched. And this year in many ways it was one of the worst defensive teams I've ever watched in football. Obviously with the
Heck
offense
yeah.
still being a major liability, but there still was at least some excitement in some of it, like there was a variable in Drake May. Even when we
Yeah.
knew we couldn't run the football, and we knew we couldn't block, and we knew we couldn't pass protect, we knew that with Drake May we had some level of, I
You
guess,
were in the game.
enjoyment to the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really do think looking at this coaching staff, and again, I'm not telling you I have famously on this podcast talked about how we weren't making the playoffs this year. I think we're going to be a competitive football team that is more disciplined and genuinely watchable. And the Patriots have not been watchable since 2021. So that's all I'm looking for this year is watchability and obviously the continued development of Drake May. Those are the two things.
Yeah.
Because you and I know you can't build Rome in a day. We might argue about the path of least resistance, where we can get a receiver, when we should get a receiver, how many people on the offensive line we need to rebuild, how many positions we need to seek out replacements for, rather. But you and I kind of are obviously in the same boat as with most people in saying this can't happen overnight. And because of a lot of the failures on behalf of the prior administration, ownership, uh, and then obviously the transition from Belichick to Mayo, like we're behind schedule. But when you get Drake May, it's easier to be behind schedule because you got your guy, you got your quarterback, and I
Heck
think
yeah.
and I think we can look at that and be excited. Now, look, Drake May could come out and stink next year. I mean, he didn't
Hmm.
have nearly the season of C.J. Stroud, but I mean, look at C.J. Stroud had some regression this year. Now, I think we know he's not that bad, and clearly, ownership felt like Bobby Slowick didn't take the hit for that, uh, not to Miko Ryans, so which they wouldn't have fired him. But yeah, I mean, let's see if there's no sophomore slump. I think he just showed so much promise and flash with basically one hand tied behind his back. So I'm curious to see just where he goes from here. And that's the exciting part of football, and hopefully it leads to again an offense that just is enjoyable. Even last
Yeah.
year, like it was watchable. I wouldn't say it was enjoyable, and the defense was not watchable. So I think we just need to get back to basics and make football fun again, dude.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting part about defense for me is the fact that like you go into watching a defensive like set of downs or series and you're like, all right, like there's literally a 50-50 chance that we get scored on like and like that's just the way the league plays at large. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But for us, you'd see that those guys walk out there and it was like I wonder how we're going to get scored on right now. Like there were so many like the Colts game for me really stands out because they just sat there and just ran Richardson down. Not even that frequently. I think he only ran like 10 times that game or something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the constant threat of him running was so looming on them,
yeah.
and like it threatened them so much that you could tell that they were just not willing to give it up. And every time they took their eyes off of it, Steichen called one, and Richardson gashed. And I mean, we were talking about it before the show. It's not like Anthony Richardson's like Josh Allen or any of these guys. Like, if you're going up and playing a really good team and like you want to be competitive, like you got to have
Yeah.
answers on defense for everything. You're not just guarding. Like we talk about Jalen Hurts a lot. Like you're not just guarding Saquon Barkley in that offense. Like there are weapons on the outside. Jalen Hurts' legs. Like the offensive line is awesome and the defense is pretty good. Like you have to play
The defense
complementary
is the best in the NFL.
like you have to play like 60 minutes of football, and I don't think we've
Yeah,
seen
mistake-free football, which
and like Drake May like is the only guy. Maybe Gonzalez in a few games, but like even he was getting like the Chargers game for him stands out where it was just like this guy is just like putting his life on the line right now, and like nobody's out there helping him.
Gonzo was our best player this year, and he,
Without a doubt.
Our best player not named Brendan Schooler.
Dog. School bus.
School bus, dude. The
The
white
long
Matthew
one.
Slater reincarnate.
Yeah.
Dude,
I mean-
he would fit so well in on the Eagles. They should just bring him in as their third string corner.
Exciting whites, dude. Are you kidding? Holy cow.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. Did you see? Not to change gears here too quickly. Did you see what DK Metcalf said about potentially being a New England Patriot? Yeah, it sucked.
Did I see that? I mean, he's not wrong. Like, let's be honest. Unless you have the sentimentality of like being a New Englander, I don't even know where DK Metcalf is from. But like, it's not
I
like
mean,
you want to be like
this is the thing. DK Metcalf went to what? Ole Miss?
Seattle.
No.
Yeah.
He went to Ole
No,
Miss.
did he?
Yeah. He was in Jackson, Mississippi, which Jackson's a great town, but Mississippi in general is, come on now. Massachusetts is way better. Yeah. Dude is from Oxford, actually Oxford's pretty nice, to be fair.
But
if there
like,
are two places in Mississippi, you would go, it's Jackson and Oxford. This man is a born and raised Mississippi guy and said New England isn't a desirable place to live. Now, there are some of the people, Obama has vacation in Massachusetts every year during his presidency, so miss me with that crap, DK Metcalf. Try Martha's Vineyard, try Nantucket. And, maybe Provincetown for our friend DK. Who knows? Like, get a little Cape Cod action in there. So, I don't know why he's judging us. But he was talking to Katie Nolan, former ESPN lady, did some Apple TV baseball, now has her own podcast. And I think they were on, like, a celebrity baking show together for an episode. So, she secured him in one of, like, the first episodes of his podcast called Casuals, and was basically trying to recruit him because she's from Massachusetts. She was trying to recruit him to the Patriots, and he wasn't having it. He respected the organization. What?
like it's definitely better than Seattle. Like,
All right, I don't know. Dude, Seattle's actually dope, dude. Plus, Seattle's on the
It's
West
tough.
Coast. Like he can. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump from San Fran and LA and all those California. Like Seattle's like a really cool city. I'm not like. If he lived in Boston, like the difference between Boston and Seattle, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Boston's dope, dude. I think a lot of people that end up coming here and being career Patriots, they love staying here, living here. I mean, Josh still lives here. Like a lot of these guys that came from
Bronx still
Ohio
live here.
and other bum states, they like to stay in New England full time. And we got Teddy Johnson, who sticks around, does a lot of media. We have a lot of former players. Look at Zolak, dude. Look at Zolak, just chilling.
I was listening to Zoe this morning, man, and he was. Phil Perry was on the show, man.
Yeah, I watched
they
Phil
were
Perry
talking about it.
debating Tom Curran yesterday about some interesting plans for signing and who to approach in free agency, and it was interesting. Who's the guy the larger fellow that talks with Zolak? Is that Bertrand? Is that his name?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that dude annoyed the living shit out of me the other night. I don't know what he did, but it was essentially like what he was saying, but it was like, oh shoot. He essentially was talking about how, and this is the problem with a lot of the New England guys that are like big in the media, is they don't actually like do many research on the draft, so they just kind of talk like, I've been told this is a bad draft class. So in a bad draft class, you got blah, 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 and it's like, it sounds really uneducated, and his whole take was like, because it's such a bad draft class, trading out of number 4, you're going to miss one of the only 2 or 3 impact players in the entire draft. And I was like, what a dumb take to make.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you have to get compensation that's equal to in value to that 4th overall pick for sure. But saying like trading back is a detriment to the team, you can still trade back and get the tackle you need in this draft. You can, like, depending on what you're offered, you can trade down and it work out for you. So that take really annoyed me, and it just kind of showed.
This is Curran saying this?
No, this was a Bertrand on the Zolak show, dude. Yeah, he said that, and I was like, shut up. I was like, shut. Like, how can you even say that? Like, you aren't. First of all, you're not paying attention to the fact that you could probably get a Will Graham, or sorry, Mason Graham and a Will Campbell, like from like anywhere to the 8th to 12th pick. I'm not saying you get both those guys. What I'm saying is
Will Johnson, Ted McMillan.
Will
like, there's
Johnson,
good drafts until
there's
like 12.
decent people that you can get like anywhere in this draft. Yeah, I mixed up like 3 different players and their names there, but Will Campbell being another one. Like, again, take the best player available.
Thanks.
You can trade down and get some assets in the future, and if you can get a 1st-round pick next year, or at least a bunch of seconds, like in a draft like this, you're almost more inclined to do so than last year when it was like, no, you have a chance at Drake May. You don't know if you're going to have this opportunity again. This is a loaded draft, but you have your pick of the litter with quarterbacks that aren't Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. So to me, we're more inclined to trade this year. The problem is it's whether or not people are going to be incentivized to give us the requisite value for that 4th overall pick. That's the difference. But I don't want to hear any of that dumb narrative that trading down sets this team back. You're still taking a top 10, top 12 first-round player in an NFL draft. You're still getting value. We got Gonzo mid-round, right?
17, dude.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know why we just assume, not saying that every year has like the corner depth that year did, but it's like, Siobhan Revel, there's still people you can get in the 20s that like will be immediate impact players day one while also giving us future assets. So I can't deal with that narrative from guys like Bertrand who don't really invest much time in, I think, draft analysis and prep.
Don't listen to anything 98.5 says
except for Alex Barth.
Yeah, with the exception of Barth. Sorry, Lord and Savior. Sorry.
Lord and Savior Alex Barth, dude. I love Barth. Dude. I can listen to Barth all day.
Yeah, no, I would not listen to a single thing. Any of the
I don't. I avoid all of their shows. Yeah. I listen to more, and it's funny. Like I've crapped on it just because I think it's a weird acronym. But the CLNS, like I listen to more of those guys than anything you're gonna hear on EI or 98.5 for sure.
Well, those guys are like those guys. Not to say that not to assume anything, but those guys are not getting paid the same way that 98.5 and WEI
no,
are.
that part sucks because I feel for them because they're
game.
better.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're better. There's very few. Yeah. I think maybe. I think the only person that probably gets paid well on CLNS is probably what's his face. You don't like him. Shoot, how am I forgetting his name?
Oh, Bedard.
Yes, yeah. Bedard's the only guy that's going to get paid. I think.
Probably
anything close to pennies on the dollar, but he has other jobs. That's the thing. He's got his hands in other pots. They all have to. You're right. So I don't know. Hopefully, that platform can take off and help guys like us, guys like me, guys like you. For the love of the game, but yeah, because I hope that our generation gets tired of the Felgers of the world. Just the guys like that are just sensationalist. I mean, I love Hardy. I love a lot of these guys just because I think they're great radio guys, good personalities. But in today's day and age, today's NFL, where we all have access to the All-22, we can all be more intelligent football fans. Without necessarily having your knowledge of scheme and what have you, and two-gapping and your little arrogant self. No one has to be that smart, but a lot of us can just enjoy football in an intellectual way that's like A plus B equals C. Simple math. Addition. Simple division. Long division. We don't have to do calculus. You might want to do calculus. You're a calculus guy. Not everyone needs to do calculus.
Do the calculus. The calculus is fun.
Yeah, it's fun if you're a loser. It's fun. Like I'm more interested in the calculus by the day, but let's not act like that's what every person's experience watching football should be, because it's not. That's a lot of people just want to watch sports because they love their team and they love the guys, but they don't necessarily need to know the difference between a 3-4 and a 4-3-5. Now I'm just going to start naming soccer formations now, just all the beautiful numbers and nickel and cover three. too high.
It's
Like
the reason
a
why
lot
I
of these
like
things you
watching
can, yeah, a lot of these things you can actually know pretty simply. But I mean, like in terms of,
formation wise for
yeah,
sure. You just
yeah,
gotta
yeah, yeah,
understand that
yeah.
nickel is
That's
like
not,
the new
yeah,
and like
and obviously I think it's important for our conversations in relation to the new guys we have on staff. What it means to have Terrell Williams as our defensive coordinator, a guy that clearly has his own vision for the front seven, especially. Uh, And, in addition to him being with Vrabel, who they're kind of probably
yeah,
lockstep
the
in a
front
vision.
seven. Hmm.
And again, like what this Josh McDaniels new offense is going to look like with guys like Doug Marrone and Thomas Brown in the mix and Ben McAdoo sticking around. Like we have a lot of experience this year that we did not
Heck
have
yeah.
last year. Ben McAdoo aside, obviously, we're losing our corner coach, which Pellegrino, which kind of is a little bit of a blow. He's done a pretty good job if you're going to point to any sort of assistant on the defensive side of the ball. But look, I don't know if really many people needed to stick around from last year, other
The
than Jeremy
former
Springer.
Hopkins lacrosse player, Mike
Yeah,
Pellegrino.
dog. I wonder why Bill liked him so much.
Mike Pellegrino.
Uh,
Sorry, I love saying that name.
yeah,
Um, yeah, no, here's my thing though. Like with the defense, like I love two gapping. I think that's like I love playing at the point of attack, just like throwing defense. Like I love the idea of that. Like I think it really works. Like
yeah.
Godshaw's a great guy. Like I think you're gonna have like Anthony Jennings. Like I think he can two gap like weirdly on the outside, which is like probably
Yeah,
like
he
he
can
fits that scheme where he's just like nothing's getting past me.
from a run stop standpoint.
Yeah,
Yeah. We're
Anthony
not talking
Jennings is
about
my
pass
guy.
rush. We're not talking
No,
about the pass rush.
no, I think he gets a lot of crap for like not being a good player because he doesn't
No,
get the
he's a good
sacks
player.
and stuff, but
Yeah.
he sets the edge better than anybody on the team.
He
And like
was
I would say he's like with the exception of Judon, he's probably been the best edge player that we've had since like I don't know, like early down, running down, run
that's
defenders.
when you need him. That's when you love to have him. But the fact that we had to put him out there on third down is just kind
Oh
of like
yeah,
an indication of how bad our pass rush is and our depth on the edge. So we'll
that's why you
talk about
need
that.
Mike
And we
Green.
need an edge. Yeah. Well, hey, he's if we're gonna take anything away from these crappy Senior Bowls and stuff, it's
I don't
Mike
know
Green's
how
a
you can
dog.
hate these. These for me are
It's the
like
NBA.
I
It's
remember being a kid. What?
it's like watching the McDonald's All American game and being like, well, now I know that I need
No,
Paul
dude.
Pierce. Like a lot of it's
First of all, that's probably
the
even
refs
more
are
helpful in
meaningless.
basketball.
Yeah,
Like
no,
the
that's what I
pickup
was like. It
basketball
is more
is
helpful, but I just wanted to say the McDonald's All American game. Yeah, the Reese Senior Bowl. Like ugh,
I
I'm
think
tired of it.
I think they're you can learn a lot, and people do jump up and down draft boards.
They do
And
not too drastically, but some of them do.
yeah, no, I mean like Jackson Dart, like it wouldn't surprise me if he goes before Jalen Milroe right now because he's been. I don't think any of the quarterbacks have particularly played well, but I think Jackson Dart's like probably like one of the more pro-ready guys. Like I don't think Sanders is like
Uh, can he
great.
even throw anything but a go route?
People hate on him so much. Like
I
I
almost
do
would
not
rather take
understand.
Milroe, and I'm on record being an anti-Richardson
Yeah,
build guy. But I still think Milroe, kind of like in a Joe Milton sense, has more potential than Jackson Dart does. Potential. I'm not saying
no, Joe.
immediate success at the NFL level, but potential, if that even is a thing with Jalen Milroe.
It's definitely an easier offense for them in Old Miss, but I think Dart is more accurate than people give him credit for. I think he's got a lot of like good leadership qualities. I think he's a decent
Yeah.
athlete. Um, would I say he's like a franchise quarterback?
No.
No, but I think he could be a solid like bridge quarterback or like if you need somebody to back up, I don't know, whoever. Like I think he
Yeah.
could get that job done. I don't think any of these guys are really starters. with the
Would you
exception
rather
of
him be the backup for like a bridge starter, or would you rather just trade for Joe Milton? After one game, we're overreacting and saying this, but I mean,
Joe Milton's a dog. I'm not gonna lie. He probably would be the top quarterback in this draft. Like I'm
also
not.
Ole Miss has like a pretty great receiving core.
Oh, for sure.
Like that's like that's different gravy right there.
No, they got a great team and like that. There's a
Trey
reason why
Harris,
they were.
dude, and don't they have some young receivers that are going to be draft eligible down the line that look pretty solid?
I think so. I didn't really watch a ton of their games this year, but yeah, no, I like Dart a lot. But yeah, no, I think like in terms of where we are, like needing to restock the offensive line, needing to restock the defensive line, like people are way too high on like Barmore, for example. Like if he comes back, I'm willing to be perfectly wrong, but I think we should go into this off season assuming that he's not going to be the same player that he was. Like I think that like I have no evidence to base that off of, but like it seems safe for me. Like
I think we as a organization and as a media base did overreact to Barmore's flashes last year. Like I do think he was a good player and he was one of our best defenders, but we were a team desperate for any sort of pressure and consistency on the defensive line when it came to pass
same 2 years
rush.
ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
No, he was amazing 2 years ago.
he's fine. He's good. He was great.
He was amazing.
But I still think he was amazing for the Patriots. Like he still was taking games off. He was taking possessions off. Like
He was amazing.
his from hearing inside the building when we talk about work ethic and these things, like I'm not entirely sure that we saw what we needed to from a consistency standpoint. We still needed to give him money though, because he was our best defensive player, and I still think that shows why the Patriots were lackluster defensively is the fact that Barmore is our best defensive player, because he's a decent player. If using the word amazing, I'll reserve that for like Jordan Davis and for people that are actually Pro Bowlers and like good players.
You talking Jalen Carter? You mean
Jalen Carter? Sorry, not Jordan Davis. Yeah, my bad.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, Jalen Carter. Like I'm gonna reserve the word amazing for actual players that deserve it, not for like good interior defensive linemen that are young and could potentially become like perennial all-pro guys. We don't even know. We don't have any. There's very little tangible evidence of Barmore's elite status that I think we in New England were very quick to dub him and to grant him, I think, knighthood.
No, I think
in the Patriots brotherhood.
I think 2 years ago he was like top 5 D tackle. Like I'm not gonna. I really like him. I was very like.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
We're talking about people taking plays off, dude. Like Christian Gonzalez famously takes training camp just off, and like nobody has a problem with that. He's a great player.
He's been there for like 2 years.
He did not try at all during training camp this year. Like everybody across the board, people are like,
I'm not talking about training camp. I'm talking about in season. Like,
yeah, but like that's
when it matters
behind him. But you don't have anybody behind him.
I don't know. Look, I'm just telling you again. I tell you my whispers, my little mouth. But just I think that was the area where people were calling him to take a step up, was like just in that consistency. And it sucks that blood clots completely took that away from us. Like we don't know if he was going to step his game up and be like a consistent like 17-week player that like really put his mark on the game and generated a lot of pressures. And I think he has a bright future. He was good. He was real good. I still think he had another gear to hit, and we just aren't able to see it. So I agree. Like, look, if we come away from the first round with Mason Graham, like, I'm only happy with that if we trade down, to be fair. But I won't be the most mad person in the world, because I agree. I don't think we're going to get the Barmore of 2 seasons ago. I just don't think that's realistic to expect from a guy that's dealt with blood clots for a year. Now, a lot of these bigger guys have it. Like, we're talking about Elric Jackson, the tackle from LA. We're talking about him hitting free agency if we want him, whatnot. That dude had blood clots too a couple years ago. So like,
yeah,
when it comes to these bigger guys, it just seems to be kind of, sadly, like a routine. So this does not spell the end for Christian Barmore's career, but we don't also know. And it's not doing him justice to really speculate overly. But we need to kind of adapt and plan for the future of the franchise if we aren't sure about stability from our most important defensive lineman right now. And we can debate whether or not he was amazing, whether or not he was great, but he's our most important defensive lineman.
Regardless, your best player 2 years ago, regardless.
Yeah.
On the defensive side of the ball? Probably even overall.
No, probably overall, yeah.
Yeah.
He was because it was honestly he was the most surprising. Like, because I think the flashes he showed that year were pretty exceptional, and I think that was his coming out party. And and we didn't have much.
Too,
yeah, no, he was fine. He was solid. But we need to see some consistency from Barmore for sure.
According to PFF, in 2023, he was the 7th highest ranked pass rusher from interior.
That makes sense. I mean, who would have been ahead of him? Like, obviously, Jalen Carter, Chris Jones, Jeffrey Simmons, probably.
Yeah, I mean, like he's a.
Is Cam Hayward?
No, he's definitely better than Cam Hayward.
I'm saying that. I mean, Cam. Numbers 44-20. Okay.
No,
scrub that from the record.
Um,
44-20, F-bomb.
no, but 23, he had 8.5 sacks, dude. Like, that's pretty
It's
good.
fine. Yeah. From the interior, that's how. I don't.
Um,
I think we need to see some improvement from his run defense for sure. But I mean, that's
Heck
kind
yeah.
of not what we needed from him. Fully that season, we just need pressure, and clearly this season we needed pressure too.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you could use pressure all over the line. Like, I think Keon White is probably the only guy who's really getting pressure at all this year.
Yeah.
But no, that's what I think. The Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, like this is why those you got to hit on these second and third round and fourth round and fifth round and sixth. You got to hit on those picks. Like it's
Yeah.
cool and it's fine and dandy to be hitting number
For
one
sure.
and first draft picks and like obviously like
We have two good players to show for 2 years of drafting. That's
I'm
bad.
willing to put Anthony Jennings in that conversation. There are guys that I'm like okay taking into next season. Like
Yeah,
Anthony
yeah, yeah.
Jennings, one of them. Keyshawn Booty, Pop Douglas,
But he also was
Hunter
drafted in
Henry.
2020. I'm talking about 2022, and
Oh yeah, like we have
yeah,
for
I'm
the
talking
past
about
two
this
drafts.
past year.
Yeah,
These past 2 years, we've had two good players from two drafts.
ex-
That is
that's
inexcusable.
terrifying. Like that's so bad. Like and so like
You know what's
that's why
even
you got
worse?
to hit on these. What?
You know what's even worse? Just gargle up some mucus. That's gonna be fun for the podcast. What's even worse is that we drafted Chad Ryland in the fourth round.
Think about that, dude. Think about that. We've been really bad in the draft the past 2 years.
Yeah,
So that's why
I
these.
always somehow block that out of my memory, dude. It's like I
Oh
have
my god.
a lunar eclipse of the mind, and I just totally.
When did we take Bailey Zappi?
He's probably like a sixth or seventh rounder, right?
That's what you think, dude. I'm pretty sure he was like a fourth round.
Oh, you might be right.
Well, round four, dude. 137. Like, what? You take a quarterback in the first round, literally the year before, dude. And then you take a quarterback. Granted, Bailey Zappi was awesome in college, but it was Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
So, like, let's go down.
Oh
So, like,
God,
we
dude.
got to hit these third and fourth round picks. If
Yeah.
you're going to go out and you're going to get, like, you got to trade back up and you got to try and get I'm blanking on his name, but the tackle from Minnesota, friggin' the guy. I can't believe the power. It's not Connerly, but it's the other tackle. You want to trade up? You want
You're
to
talking
get
about
him?
Ariane Taylor, yeah.
Yeah. Let's trade back.
I
Let's
would
get.
I would for sure be cool with taking Ursary. I wonder whether or not him or Connerly fit the thing with Connerly is the injury, but I wonder whether or not him or Ursary better fit a Josh McDaniels offensive
Ursary.
scheme. But what's interesting because I think from an interior standpoint, I definitely like. Let's just say we're comparing these builds. Ursary would be the guy. From a tackle, like I'd prefer Ursary like you because I like his size. But I think you might want more agility on the tackles and more stout interior linemen. So Connerly kind of has some of that athleticism that could be enticing in a McDaniels offense for sure, especially when you want to have big guys like Mike on the interior. However, I think just like I do think Ursary probably makes more sense just in terms of when I think about NFL translating of traits and physical attributes as well as just knowing that he's going to be there come September, whereas with Connerly, we're still kind of in flux and we can't afford to just wait around for a left tackle to get healthy. Like, I'm not necessarily opposed to Vidarian Lowe playing like a month of the season if someone had an injury, but I can't have that person be a rookie that's not quite going to get in NFL shape for probably another like 4 months. Like I can't, we can't afford for that to happen. What's up?
I think you could plug and play Ursary. Like
No, you can,
I'm
yeah,
confident.
absolutely. And with you
And like
could have with
Connerly,
Connerly, he's just hurt, and
yeah,
he's got the pec, so that could be a long time. It could be a long
he's.
time out.
I know he was playing right tackle, and I know people have been trying to say that like that one rep against Mike Green doesn't really mean that much.
Yeah,
You cannot get bull rushed like that. Like there's guys way stronger than Mike Green that are going to be going up against you on the edge. Like that means Micah Parsons can probably run straight through you. And like I understand that he went down and all that stuff, and he was playing right tackle. Like
I do not care. I do not care about a one-on-one rep in the Senior Bowl. I don't care.
Mike Green is not that like he's a good player. Don't get me wrong.
He's had a fantastic Senior Bowl. Like if we're going to talk about anyone that's had a rise, he's looked the part for sure. But I just look. That's one bad rep on the side of the ball that he is not playing. So whatever.
He still got lifted up and put down, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad.
It's a Senior Bowl. Like it's like watching defense in the All-Star game and critiquing for the NBA. Like it's like
dude,
all right.
This is huge for this is like Josh Con. This should be Josh Connerly's Super Bowl. Like, not
What do
gonna
you mean?
lie,
Josh
like
Connerly can't even practice.
he got thrown in that rep though. It should be guys
You're
like
talking about
him.
Ursary?
No, Josh Connerly got thrown in the Senior Bowl, like thrown by Mike Green.
Give me a sec.
Like it was not good. It was not a good look. And
Who's the
I know
tackle
that's
that's
like
still recovering from an injury? Oh, is
yeah,
that the Oregon kid?
yes, that's Connerly.
Yeah. Okay, no. Who's the Ohio State tackle that I'm confusing it with?
Simmons.
There we go. Damn it, I did it again. All right. 50
Oh yeah,
minutes. I already marked my two F-bombs. But yeah, I've confused Simmons and Connerly. All the tackles' names are just blending together for me at this point in time. But I
yeah.
agree. I think I'm kind
Simmons would
of
be cool.
I would be hyped on Ariante Ursary. Say we trade back, maybe get a position that wasn't our number one need, but then we have the ability to trade back up late into the first, take Ursary, address our biggest need, and then maybe we can kind of play around with if we want to draft a receiver, if we're signing receivers, what have you. So that's I'm into that. I'd still take Connerly, to be honest with you. The Simmons one is interesting just because I think he could have fit a McDaniels offense pretty well, but
Yeah,
the injury, the pec injury that I was attributing to Josh Connerly is really the boy Simmons out of Ohio State. So I don't
no,
know.
I mean,
Just so much tackle talk. We're gonna have this talk for a long time. I still am very much not against going all out for Alaric Jackson. Just because then you have like talk about plug and play. That's a guy can plug and play well immediately. Which for Drake May, I want and it's impatient. I know. I want immediate results on the offensive line for Drake May because I need him to blossom. I need him to show a level of consistency that maybe doesn't rely on talent around him because I still don't. Even if we tried to put the
that's what you
money,
take guy
put the
for.
bag out on T Higgins, like I still think we're gonna walk into next season with probably a mediocre wide receiver addition. Like I'm starting to get pessimistic. A mediocre wide receiver addition and another Kayshon Boutte Pop Douglas year. And I just look. I like those guys. I like them a lot more than I like Jalen Polk, but I need a little more, and I'm not sure Drake May is going to get a little more. So let's shore up that offensive line because I think that's the most doable thing this year. Because the
Yeah,
receivers in the draft not nearly as good as they were last year. Obviously, everybody knows that. And there's some depth at tackle, and free agency for receivers isn't great either. I mean,
that's my thing.
you
I
can
think
try to sign Godwin to basically be what Polk couldn't, but I don't even know if I want a guy coming off such a severe leg injury like that at
I
his age.
there's no real benefit to me in trying to like fix everything this offseason and just trying to throw money and like we're gonna spend all this money, we're
Not
gonna fix
carelessly, yeah.
yeah, we're gonna plug holes and
Yeah.
like I, there's no reason for you to go out and be like just dropping bags on everybody just to go get all the. I don't think the top guys are really that good at any, with the exception of like T Higgins, and then like
Even then,
Ward is pretty good.
I would drop a bag. See, I would drop 2 to 3 bags if possible, but I don't think it's going to happen just because we're not competitive. So, but
I don't know who free agent safeties
I
are.
would
Like,
absolutely be like Travarius Ward, come to Papa. That's one where
heck yeah.
I would absolutely, bestow the bag upon that man. Because that just immediately elevates our defense to a whole nother level. We probably have the best corner room in the NFL once we do that. So that would be one where I think it would be advantageous because then we're not looking to build corner through the draft this year, and maybe we take a young safety because, again, free safety is an issue, has been an issue, and will be an issue until we find that successor to Devin McCourty, which
Justin Simmons is gonna be on the ball on the market. I would love that.
is
I
he,
love Justin Simmons.
it, is he a restricted free agent or unrestricted free agent?
I think I think
He's a
he's
UFA?
unrestricted. Yeah,
Wow. He's someone that has been really good. I'm not sure his performance in the last year or two has been, I think,
2 years ago he was really good. I don't know
yeah.
how
A
he is
couple
this
years
year.
ago, he was a dog. I'd still take him for sure, dude. I
Heck yeah.
mean, anyone is better than repurposing Jonathan Jones back there.
Yeah, I think
So,
Jonathan Jones got to walk.
yeah, I mean, love the guy, great patriot, model citizen, but it's a
Model
business,
citizen.
and we gotta. Yeah, he's a great dude, but it's a business,
Yeah,
and we gotta move onwards and upwards when it comes to secondary depth because can't be getting torched by these guys, like
cannot be
in
getting.
that fashion, and
Yeah,
playing Kyle Duggar in coverage more often than not. Like that just, oh man, this year sucked, dude.
Yeah, no, my whole thing like going into this season, and like I kind of touched on it earlier, like this season was really just training camp for Drake, man. Like the whole year,
Kinda.
like it was whatever. Like you had to know going in that we were. I remember winning that game week 1, and like my coworkers, I was working that day. My coworkers were like, "Yeah, you must be so amped," and I was like, "We still suck. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like we're still not gonna win more than 4 games." I think I said that day. It
There's
might have
no
been
way you said that the first. You said no way we win more than 4 games immediately after the
I
Bengals game.
promise you. Right after the bang, I remember being like, "Wow."
It
I
was an
was the
ugly win.
I was the guy who broke the Ramondre Stevenson yards after contact stat.
Yeah, I do remember you posting that, and then it being everywhere after the fact, and you doing your little parade, like me talking about AJ Brown on PU.
Exactly, man. We're already driving. Move over, Felger. Move over, Tony Maserati with your yes menage.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we're just a couple of ball knowers. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Of ball knowers,
Give us a
dude.
pair of joggers and some hair gel, and we could be on the sideline. Screw it, dude.
And and hair thinning more than it already is. Maybe even spiked up like this.
Yeah. Yeah, just get some nair. Hair's falling out. Unless you're Mike
Yes,
McDaniels, he's
dude.
got those beautiful curls. But for sure,
Some Lulu.
some Lulus, dude. Some joggers.
Get it
Probably
right.
a vape in hand, or at least a past drug
Water
addiction.
vapor?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Whatever Mike McDaniel says.
Have you
Uh,
seen that interview of him with like PFT and
yeah,
Big Cat?
yeah.
I love McDaniel.
Dude, I love how everyone that talks about hanging out with the Braves are like Braves just packs. Like Braves is just dipping constantly.
Tanner. I mean, you have to. You remember that guy Tanner from the Abbey?
Braves is the Matty Peterson dude of of the NFL. Just
Imagine we like
just
make
just
it like
cooking
5 years from now.
just putting little dip packets in his in the pockets of a jogger, so an
I
unsuspecting
forgot
football
about.
player just takes his hands out and just has like pouches. Like what the? That was so funny.
That
Uh,
was awesome.
for context, Lucas and I were on a football team together in high school, and neither of us played. And we would be on the sidelines as people who don't play do. And there were these parkas that they gave us when it was like either cold or rainy. And one of our equipment guys who traveled with us and help out with the team was just a good dude. But Matty Peterson, he dipped like a mother, but it
Like
wasn't.
a degenerate.
He was doing pouches though because he's classy. He's a man of class, as anyone who does pouches knows. But for some reason, they would find their way into the pockets of the parkas. Now, part of me is worried that I'm giving him credit for this, and maybe it was some other degenerate football player.
No.
But I kind of think it was
It was
him.
Matthew. We
I
went
kind of
to
think
a
it was him.
very, very wealthy prep school, and nobody really like, especially at our age. Like we went to high school right at the start of like the
Why do we have to
vape
give that
epidemic.
information out? Now we're even bigger bitches than we knew we were.
I
I was on scholarship. I was on scholarship.
I was not. I'll be honest. I was, I was eating every second of it up. But yeah, no, I mean, we went to school right at the start of the vape epidemic and all that start, like Juuls, all that
It
crap.
was good to see a man stick to his guns and just ripping pouches on the sideline of football games, dude.
Yeah,
That's what it's all about. That's football culture right there, dude. That's Braves
heck yeah.
culture. I don't want one of these tight pants vape smoking motherfucker. God, it's so hard not to swear and be
I hear
emphatic.
you.
58.
I know.
Uh, it's I want a dip, cigarette smoking, just guy betting on the Kentucky Derby. I want Braves. Give me Braves. Give me. I bet Ben Johnson does like aerobic exercises in a swimming pool at 5 in the morning every day. You know what Braves is doing at 5 in the morning? Sleeping. He's sleeping. He's getting up. He throws a thing of Grizz in a lip, and he just starts snarling. He looks in the mirror. He goes, "Arr!" Like give me that in my head coach. I don't want the tight pants. I want a pair of loose pants. I want a pair of jawstring, like can't fit with a belt on. The belt starts to hurt your back. Starts walking a little bit more beleaguered. Like I want a coach that is out of shape. Give him to me. Give him to me.
No,
Even though
yeah,
Braves looks good, I'm not saying Braves is out of shape, but I'm just saying I don't want one of these thin white boys out here, selling seasons for the Miami Dolphins.
I do.
I know I don't mind it, to be honest. I'm not gonna act like I don't. But for the sake of football and the integrity of the game, give me that drawstring coach. Give me
I
the
want the
span.
nerd.
Overrated.
I want the nerd. I want the man who's doing things with a purpose. I mean,
I'll
you
take
can do
I'll
it.
I'll take the in the middle where you get a nerd that is out of shape. So give me Andy Reid, obviously Bill Belichick.
Oh,
Yeah,
Uncle Ruthie.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, give me a fat nerd. That's my nerd right there. I don't want no.
That's
I
why
don't
it's
want to.
discouraging
I
to
don't. I
see
don't want a
Josh
nerd that
McDaniels.
looks like he has like a garden salad for lunch every day. I want the nerd that looks like his arteries are slowly exploding over time. Like I want Andy Reid, dog. That was Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was a nerd. He's one of the best nerds of all time. He's a defensive genius. Uh,
That's why Josh McDaniels, a little bit concerning seeing him drop that weight. It's
he
like, dude,
has thinned down, and it's. But the thing is, if you want a tight pant nerd, you're looking at someone that's on the offensive side of the ball. So is McDaniels, after doing this whole college tour this past year, slowly becoming a tighter pant. And maybe Vrabel can wear the loose pants for the organization, and we get a little bit of a tighter pant from Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator. I don't know. I don't know.
it's combos. I like it. I like it.
I'm saying I like. We're doing a little mix and match in here, but I think that we have a pretty filled out staff that looks good, dude. We got a lot of influences from a lot of different trees here. You want a little bit of
T.
Frank Reich? I think we got
Brown.
a little Frank Reich and T. Brown, dude. And I think
Yeah.
we got a little bit of you know, I'm not going to go through every tree. I don't care that much about
Oh,
it. I
man.
just want to see results. I just want to see results. You and I watched that video on YouTube. You got through the whole thing. I watched 20 minutes explaining all the coaching trees. I don't know why the video needed to be an hour and a half long to explain how everything came down from Bear Bryant. It wasn't Bear Bryant, but it literally felt like we were reading like ancient texts from the Old Testament, like being like, these are Moses' tablets. And we have to know every single assistant coach that ever had a job anywhere. And I'm like, all right, dude, like, I want to be more of a nerd than I am. It's real hard when I'm watching content like this.
No,
Uh,
I hear you.
but you enjoyed it. See, like that's for some people. For you, that was very fun. You got to watch that before bed. I tried. It put me to sleep. I tried. I was like, jeez, Louise.
I have been watching NFL Network since I was
Yeah, of course.
literally
NFL Network
3 years old.
ruled.
I remember watching the Shrine Bowl as a kid at like 7, 8 years old, like
Yeah.
buying like magazines at Barnes and Nobles about like mock drafts and all that stuff. Mike Mayock's and
Your ass has never stepped foot in a Barnes and Noble. Don't lie.
I promise you, I used to be a draft nerd once upon a time.
Dude, you have to walk in there holding actually the employees have to hold a crucifix when you walk in there and say the power of Christ compels you, because I don't think I've ever seen you read a book. That's like the 50
have never read a
cent
book.
the 50 cent I challenge you to read one page of a Harry Potter book.
Oh, I said magazine, all right? I was looking at the pictures.
Yeah, you were leaving. Oh my god. You didn't get it at a Barnes and Noble. You got it from a convenience store in an airport, probably on your way to some luxurious family vacation. That's when you read, dog.
No cap, dude. No cap.
Barnes and Noble probably has a "Have you seen this man?" sign on the back of Lucas Cobry, like alleged to have last been seen in a Barnes and Noble, has
In
not been seen in
2008.
the entirety of his life.
Factual.
I say this knowing full well my ass does not read anymore. I have become strongly illiterate, so I can't knock it if I'm also not trying. So let me
see
own
that
up to
door?
my own deficiencies real quick.
You see that door marked pirate? You think a pirate lives in there?
You think a pirate lives in there? Charlie, are you talking about the door marked private? No.
What a show. All right.
So do. Yeah, come back for next week's edition of ExPats when we talk about It's Always Sunny and go roundabout ways of not really talking about football again. But we'll just do an Always Sunny, podcast, because Lord knows those guys aren't doing it anymore.
It's the off season. You guys are here to get to know Josh Downey and Lucas Cobry.
Yeah, you really don't, probably, but it's okay. You still will. Now you know that we went to boarding school, so whoever is listening and will listen hates us more than they would have previously, which is always good. I hope they hate me. I get off on being hated. I want someone to hate me more than I hate me, so it's always good to kind of encourage the audience to really dive into that.
We were prefects. Our other friend Will wasn't.
You're making it worse, dude. You're making it worse. You're using Harry Potter words that people don't even know exist, and they're just gonna have even bigger resentment for us and our privilege. So,
Well, settle down for house meeting, all right?
Lucas and I acknowledge our privilege Lucas is more privileged. He
I
was around.
don't.
I acknowledge my privilege. I'm a cool expat guy. I'm a man of the people, dude. I'm like who am I like? That's super dope and awesome and
and
has such
and
a great
cool.
sense of humility. Yeah, who's dope and cool that I can be like?
Like you like
Uh,
Ben Johnson.
I'm like Jon Stewart, dude. I'm just an all around good guy. Like Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's a little intense, dude. I don't know if I'm that intense. I don't shut up. I wouldn't say I'm intense though.
I would love to. I would be in a Ben Johnson meeting, just like pen and paper, just scribbling, dude.
Would you just be drawing erotica of Ben Johnson bent over a table?
You gotta take it here, man. We're on a
You just said you were scribbling. I don't know what you were talking about. You just seemed to be doing hard gesticulating motions on a piece of paper with Ben Johnson in a room. I'm getting like paint me like one of your French girl vibes.
I would. Ben Johnson.
I mean, Ben Johnson, yeah, he's not a bad looking dude. I would not at all knock you. If you came in to ExPats studio, which doesn't exist one day, and you were like, hey, by the way, I started seeing this guy. His name is Ben Johnson. I would be like, dude, give me a fist bump, dog. We'd be talking about it. I'd be asking for all the details. We'd be chilling. We'd be talking about Ben Johnson would be getting us tickets to the game. You'd be his baddie in the booth, dude. Imagine me. Ugh, like, we don't even talk about
It
Liam
could be
Cohen.
so much worse.
Yeah, no, dude. I mean, Ben Johnson didn't have really anything that uncomfortable for his, and then he did it again.
The
Dude,
second one was way better.
It was better. I just don't. I feel bad for him because it's like, this is like the dream of every NFL head coach, and he just ruined it on day one by saying Duval like that. Like,
just getting ripped apart.
Yeah, just getting absolutely shredded.
Did you see him meet? I mean, I'm a guy who loves Brian Thomas Jr. Like,
yeah, you're a big Brian Thomas. I mean, BTJ is awesome. No cap.
Man. But he goes up to him and he saw Brian Thomas for the first time, and he was like, "I'm amped about you." like,
oh, really?
I cannot wait to get to work. Well, I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be the guy. You heard it here first. 106.35.
What's funny is that Liam Cohen comes up and is like, Brian Thomas, I'm excited to see you. And I just imagine Vrabel walking in the building, taking one look at Kayshon Boutte, and just being like, eh. Just turning around.
See, like,
meanwhile, Liam Cohen is like, flying out baddies to BTJ's crib, like, whatever you need, we got you. And Vrabel's just like looking at his receiving card, just being like,
yeah, you're not wrong. They got some pieces down there in Duval.
And then Vrabel's pulling out like a notebook. He's like, that dumb kid from Rhode Island said he's going to be a high-end number 2 receiver. He's looking at Kayshon
I never said high-end.
He said, this kid from Rhode Island said Kayshon Boutte is going to be the greatest Patriots receiver. What the heck? Is this the same guy that wrote that thing about Jeremiah Smith, who's only 19 years old? God, why do we keep listening to this kid? And then they bring me in as an advisor, and I say, listen, guys, I got you. Like, I know that Lucas Cobry is mentally unstable. This is okay. This is a charity podcast. It's actually the Make-A-Wish podcast. Lucas doesn't realize that I'm just doing this to appease him and be a good friend as he prepares for what I can only assume is just a downward spiral in terms of your mental stability. So I'm doing this for you, but when Vrabel calls me and he's like, I need your advice on certain players, I go, okay, let's try to trade Kayshon Boutte and cash considerations. And what are we trading him for? And I'm just like, I don't know, maybe we get another Red Robin at Patriot Place. Like, can we get anything that's of any sort of commensurate value?
The disrespect.
No, I'm kidding.
Kayshon, I love you, brother.
Yeah, Kayshon, honestly, you played your ass off this year. A lot better than any of us expected. Don't listen.
Way better.
Don't feed into the hype of people like this that try to instill hope in a fan base in all the wrong places. Like, let's take our time. Let's acknowledge that you are a project and your development is on the right track and you've improved and you went from being a practice squad guy to our most productive.
I think you might be higher on him than I am now.
What
I think he's going to get you through this season and not be your biggest problem. That's all I'm trying to say.
You have wildly changed your opinion on Kayshon Boutte because you called him.
I don't think I ever have.
I think, first of all, we have debated this and you made me look bad on TikTok by splicing out all the parts where I crap on Kayshon Boutte, mostly to get under your skin. But you cannot. See, this is the problem. Anyone who wants to go back in the archives,
I've never said that he was going to be that
amazing. No one's going to want to go back in the archives and look at these episodes. But Lucas Cobry had Kayshon Boutte's toes in his mouth, talking about he was the next incarnation of Jesus Christ. And I was trying to like steady the ship. I was saying, listen, guys, Kayshon Boutte is a solid player, but he needs to be like our third or third receiver at best. And you were like, no, 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 Kayshon Boutte is a number one. No, no,
I never
Kayshon
said
Boutte.
number one.
You said Kayshon Boutte all pro this, Kayshon Boutte Calvin Klein shoot that. You were talking about Kayshon Boutte left and right, right and left. And I'm saying, guys, let's
First of
slow
all,
our roll. Let's slow our roll. That's all we
I'd
do.
want him in a pink. It'd have to be a pink commercial, not Calvin Klein. Like
So you want him in
Victoria's Secret. I want him in lingerie. Like let's.
I think after 30 or however many years of Victoria's Secret, we finally realized what Victoria's Secret was. And that's somewhere in the back room, they have just an absolute specimen of a man in Kayshon Boutte having sequined pink booty pants on and just looking fantastic doing it. I'm sure he fits. I'm sure he looks freaking great in there.
I bet he is.
Yeah. I wonder if we can start. Maybe Kayshon Boutte can now bet on how good he'll look in pants because you can't bet on college football games anymore. But if you could bet on how good he looks in a tight pair of maybe Lulu's or Victoria's Secret, and I didn't like how your body just erected itself after you heard some Lulu's. I think every bone in your body stiff like a cat that sensed danger, but the danger was your own arousal.
No. The danger is Kayshon Boutte for the rest of the NFL.
One Kayshon Boutte for the rest of our lives.
Let's ride, dude. I'm on the. I don't think he'll be your biggest problem. I think he's a solid.
Well, obviously he's not going to be your biggest problem. The biggest problem is the fact that he's not going to be your biggest problem. Like the problem is that our offense is so weak that we're talking about him just not messing it up. I don't mind him. I would love to have him continue in a rotation with Drake May. I would love to have two receivers that are solidly better than him, and we don't have that right now. That's the problem. He's not the problem. The problem is the depth.
I think if you can get one guy who's better than him. Yeah, no, I'm saying going forward.
This offseason. I'm saying you need at least two to feel confident in your passing attack, in your receiving core. Sorry. I'm not going to necessarily – because I still like the fact that we have Hunter Henry. I like Austin Hooper if he sticks around. And if we do end up doing that like third down back, if we start using our running backs more to their strengths and going back to a McDaniels way of doing things, I'm excited about what a potential running back could add in the passing game as well. So I think that will help with our receiver volume. We still need one guy at least that's going to be at the very least a leader, not necessarily a number one alpha, because it's a tough year to get that in both the draft and in free agency, especially when you're a team that's in the gutter. But look, there's a future here. There's a future here. It's going to take a while.
I don't know. I think if you want to build it properly and not rush it, Boutte you can wait to replace till next offseason. Which is weird to say that we're planning for the 2026 season and at the end of the 24 season, but I think if you're trying to jump and fix everything, that's how you're going to end up not fixing the real issues, the underlying issues at left tackle and right tackle and left guard and potentially center and number one receiver and then like edge rusher and
I just
safety.
Can't believe you've completely 180'd your Boutte. Your Boutte take was I was joking around about you saying that he was going to be this sexy beast that's so very hot and the number one receiver and
all
and
that
hot.
stuff I did say. He's a good looking dude.
Yeah, but what
good looking bald 26-year-old, I think 24.
There's definitely been a change in the air because you were like Kayshon Boutte is going to be a good number two receiver for the Patriots.
I never said good. I think solid is the best that I said.
You might have the worst memory of anyone I know, and that's coming from me.
Solid.
Dude, when we didn't win in our argument, now obviously I exaggerate to the point of negativity. That's a 30-second clip from like a 20-minute argument.
It's way longer than 20 minutes.
Exactly.
If we're being honest.
So at some point in time, I definitely got you to say something along the lines of you talked about how he could be a very serviceable, good number two receiver for the Patriots going forward. I think
he's playing out of position.
There was never probably. But there was never any sort of inclination that you were like, look, we just need him to get us through a year or two, and then he can go. That's
all I meant. I swear to God.
That is not what was said.
Promise.
That was not what was said.
That is all I meant.
You can mean all you want till the cows come home. Again, you have a toe halfway down your esophagus, Kayshon Boutte's left pinky, and all of a sudden things are, not quite rainbows and sunshine now that we've heard maybe a couple analysts in New England sports
No,
media talk
no,
about how
no,
he's not.
no, no, no. You can go find the clips. I
You are
promise you,
influenced
all I
and you
ever
are
said was
sheep.
that no, all I ever said is that he could
sheep.
get through. No.
Sheep Cobry. Sheep
Is this
Cobry.
not coming from the guy who said that we can't rely on?
Can't rely on what?
Can't we have to rely on the media?
What?
You said that at the beginning of this
Well, I said
podcast.
that we have to rely on them for information. We can make our own
I-
assumptions. We have to rely on them
You
for
have to.
information.
I'm out here informing my own opinion. I'm watching the Senior Bowl clips. I'm watching the Shrine Bowl clips. I'm out here saying
The
Kayshon
clips. You're
Boutte
not
could be
watching
a
you're watching the
serviceable.
clips that have already been packaged and digested by someone with a narrative. Let's not act like you are a totally
I
like a
watched the
pure
large
being.
majority. I watched the large majority of any clip that I could find on Twitter or
Yeah.
X or TikTok or
Was
Instagram.
there no paint you could watch dry over the course of the last 3 days?
No, dude.
Was there no grass you could watch grow?
You should. It's important to see some of these guys because
No,
like we said,
absolutely. For sure. For
you
sure.
have to hit those later rounds.
For sure.
And like I'm not saying for us, but it's important. Like obviously we have no input on it, but like
Yeah.
as us, for me, I feel like it's good to be informed on those things. Like I like being able to
If
develop
there's
my
one
own
thing I
opinion
know
on
about
players.
Lucas Cobry is that he is constantly and consistently informed. So that's if I had one.
I would not say that about. I would not say that about anything other than football. Football is one thing that I actually am
If
informed on.
there's one word that describes my co-host Lucas, it is informed.
I have no idea what's going on in the world right now. To not to reference Sunny again, but like you know the scene where they're like talking about like Charlie, do you even know what's going on in the Middle East?
Yeah. God,
That's
so
me
funny.
with the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's good that we're compared to fictional characters that are intentionally awful and uneducated in a television show that's satire and irony. So that's good. I couldn't tell you what's going on in the Middle East either, my friend. I said it before. I joked about you never stepping foot into Barnes and Noble. I just go there because I like getting Starbucks. I don't like. I'm not exactly out here.
I hear there's cute girls there too.
I don't know. I can neither confirm nor deny, but I will say that I have bought like manga at a Barnes and Noble. So I bought Japanese cartoons. I bought
Fair.
Japanese cartoons at a Barnes and Noble. I did buy a Stephen King book that I read 3/4 of, which is quite good. And I still haven't finished. I couldn't finish a book to save my life anymore. I'll go through like a week-long period of just being a voracious reader, and then I'm out of here. So
Fair enough.
yeah, again,
2K ain't gonna
I
play
challenge
itself.
myself to read one page of a Harry Potter book.
No. I don't even remember how we got here. Kayshon Boutte. He could be your number 2 next year. A
And
good
as you
number
said,
2. I'll say a good number 2. You want me to say a good number 2?
What's crazy is
Because here's my thing. I think
This
we
is
have
insane
wildly
that
different
you just-
definitions of good. Like I
no,
think
we don't.
yes, 1,000%. Good to me is like he could catch 50 passes and have 700 yards and then like 4 touchdowns, and I'd consider that good.
I feel like, all right, your definition of good needs to be relative then. Because I think anyone with certain expectations can have a good season that comparatively sucks for some other people. So let's not act like there is one definition of good that reigns supreme in each of our vernaculars and not talk about like, what is good in a Drake May offense that doesn't have a lead? Like if he's going to be your lead receiver, that's not a good season.
Oh, no.
If he's going to
I'd
be your
expect
third
that.
string receiver, that's a good season.
But at number 2, you have hypothetically you have T. Higgins above him.
I still think
If he
Pop's
catches-
going to get more volume. I don't find Boutte to be the number 2 in this offense, no matter who we get as our first receiver.
I say number 2 because Pop doesn't get on the field unless it's like passing second down or third down.
But the thing is, we're not running Alex Van Pelt's offense anymore, so I actually think Pop, like in terms of snap count, is going to go up. Because think about how many times we had to have Polk out there, Boutte, guys blocking, and I don't like. Obviously, you're going to want receivers that block. I mean, you talked about. We've had our A.J. Brown debate, but you would be the first to tell anyone that A.J. Brown is an excellent blocker and that that's a real sexy part of his game. We won't ask that so much of our receivers, I think, to the same extent if all goes according to plan and we actually get improvement on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know, from an outside zone perspective, how much of that we really run. I think Pop is going to be opened up in a way where we can see an uptick in his volume. I'm not sure that directly correlates with any sort of increased workload to Kayshon Boutte, if that makes sense.
I think you're right. I don't think he'll see as many targets as he probably saw No, I think he'll see probably similar to this season. Like I don't think it really affects him too much. I think your outside receiver runs potentially your because he's like your X right now. If you add a T Higgins and you can bump him to your Z, I think he no matter what you're going to see more targets from that spot. But he's a guy that I think will thrive in zone coverage. Like I think you're going to see
Okay, yeah, for sure, for sure.
if you can get a guy who can beat man to man and like effectively like prevent
You
teams
need a
from playing.
man beater that also stretches the field because I think I agree with you that we were asking Kayshon Boutte to be our vertical threat, which shouldn't be the strength of his game. As you said, he should be like a zone beater. And I think
Exactly.
if we like how many times was Drake May just forcing deep balls to Kayshon Boutte? And the couple that hit looked beautiful, but there was a lot of like lack of separation and inaccuracy. And I agree with you. Like, let's see Kayshon Boutte potentially in a role that suits his build and his strengths.
Exactly.
Uh, so for sure, I'm excited to see where he can go from here if we use him adequately, and I trust Josh to do that more than I trust ABP. Then I trust the head coach of the offense. That let's just put it that way.
Exactly. And and like we have our discussion about Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown and how Jalen Hurts throws a good deep ball, and every time that you
Nothing
saw
else.
Booty catching those deep balls, dude,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
the
a.
same coverage.
It
Like
was also it was a dot.
oh, it was a dot. Yeah,
He
hell
was
yeah.
not. There was not a lot of like DK Metcalf level of separation in Kayshon
No,
Boutte's game at all. And that's not
no,
his game.
none of
That's
it.
not his game. That's not his game. I'm not going to act like I'm going to put him on a pedestal. That's not his
He
game.
does have higher average separation than AJ Brown though, so
All right, I don't buy that. 1 second.
it is true. But
I just don't. I here we can look at
according to
these.
AWS,
We can look at these AWS next gen stats, all that baloney. All it takes is watching a game of football to see who the superior separator is, and also what's being asked of them in the offense currently. And
I'm
ah,
merely just don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you the
also,
stat.
also, also, how much man is being run against the Eagles versus how
That's
much man
all.
is being run against the Patriots?
It's solely man.
You're solely looking at man. Well, okay, so but you also have
Average
to look at the
separation is just
volume.
man coverage.
You have to look at the volume of each offense or the defenses that they're being played against for man versus zone. And I think Kayshon Boutte, it's going to be like a lot. There's going to be far fewer.
It's so
Like the
minimally
sample
though.
size, the sample size is going to be a lot smaller. So I think it's easier to like. It's not like you're carrying that out over how many snaps a game. I think
It's so minimal
I
though.
don't
The
think
difference
teams are
between the two
playing
of
a
them.
lot of zone against the Eagles. Like an insane amount of zone. Actually, I don't know what the zone rates are against the Eagles offense. Let me not
I
act like I
wouldn't
know.
be able to tell you. I don't think the stats really give you that, but I would
Yeah,
guess it's more
more than the
than the
Patriots. You think
Eagles
the Patriots get more man against them than the Eagles do, is what you're saying.
for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. I do have to
Um,
I gotta start getting ready for my actual job here. So it has
for his
been
day job.
my day job that jobs at night. So
Yeah. All
let's
right.
do it. It's been a fun episode of Expats where we really didn't talk about much, but honestly, we talked so much about the coordinator hires and philosophy and argument and got into arguments last week. This was kind of a nice, just jokey uh,
More
segue
low
into the off
key.
season, and I think
Yeah.
once the senior, like I'm excited to see where our analysis can go from here because I feel like we're just going to hear a lot of the same crap from a lot of different sources, and I'm ready to move on.
That's
And
what
start.
makes the Senior Bowl
I'm ready
really
for
fun.
actual moves, dude. I'm ready for free agency. That's what I'm ready for. I'm ready to know what we need before we hit the draft. Time to know what you need. All right.
Yeah. It's too bad you have a whole month and change until that happens. That's
What
the
is it? What
worst
is it?
part.
March 1st that the
Something like
league
that. Yeah.
season technically commences.
Yeah.
When can you start negotiating with free agents?
You're
What
not supposed to until the first day.
you're telling me
But
there's no legal tampering period that we got?
no.
I feel like
I'm
there
pretty
is
sure it's
such thing
supposed
as a
to start.
legal tampering period for unrestricted free agents. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know.
Let's look it up. No, I'm pretty sure it's 52-hour window in 2013. Yeah, I mean, I think it is, but I think it's like,
It's only like a couple
oh, it's
days.
right before the start of official free agency. So yeah, you
Okay,
guys
so
are,
it's only like 2 days,
yeah,
which is not that's not a month. That's not a couple weeks. So we're still well off from that. We got a whole month of February. Fortunately, February is the shortest month of the year, so we got that to look forward to. Bro, why does the draft have to be in April? I get that we have to stretch out
and
the off season because it's the longest for any sport, but damn, I just want to draft in March. Is that so wrong? Is that so wrong that I want to draft in March?
it's It's a long off season, dude. Get ready for a lot of just regurgitating this. That's what makes the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl so important. It's the only football we're gonna get until August. So
Yeah, I'll watch the
buckle up
Super
that
Bowl.
chin. Yeah,
I'll watch
exactly.
the XFL before I watch the Reese's Bowl sponsored by Dylan Gabriel looking like crap.
He did look
Uh,
terrible.
yeah.
I
So
thought he was gonna be awesome coming out. I didn't realize he
anyway,
was 5'11".
this has
Anyways,
been a great
this has
episode of
been
ExPats.
all right. We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, it won't be 2 weeks because
Yeah.
we'll hopefully have recorded audio. There was some glitch last week. It's cool. It's fine.
Don't
Technology.
worry
What are you going
about
to do?
it.
This is what the nerds want you to see. They want you to see us talking and all happy, but what the nerds do is they screw with our audio. If Bill
Good
Belichick was
catch.
running this, we'd be using the MySpace web messenger, and there wouldn't be a
Zoom.
single hitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not even Zoom. Zoom is too modern. We need to rely on the old school principles. So, yeah.
We'd be
Anyway,
calling each other. All right. Anyways,
adios, friends,
deuce.
enemies, voting.